I guess the first thing I'd like to ask you, Governor Palin, is let's talk about what are some of the important charitable organizations to you and your family?
We are quite involved right now in the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation. Todd worked with... Thank you. Todd worked with Chris Kyle on an NBC show called Stars Earn Stripes, and they got to know each other well and became buddies. And then Chris did security for us, for me, at a couple of really important events, and now being close friends with Taya, with Chris's wife, we understand not just kind of the worldwide impact that Chris has had, but the personal loss involved with that tragedy, unspeakable tragedy that happened to Chris. So that organization we are out there trying to raise money for, because ultimately the organization helps other wounded warriors, and near and dear to our hearts. So that's probably top on the list right now. In fact, Todd's in the middle of the world's longest, toughest snow machine race. Otherwise, he'd be here today. He's halfway through a 2,000-mile race across Alaska. You know, they're going 100 miles an hour out in the open elements, and he's racing for the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation. Yeah.
Thank you. I'd like you, Governor Palin, to share with the audience a funny or memorable story from the 2008 presidential campaign.
There's a lot of them. By the way, sorry. We came in second out of 2. I have a good one, though. It was right before the vice presidential debate. We're backstage. Joe Biden's on one side, getting ready to go out to his podium. I'm on the other side, getting ready to go out to the podium. I'm looking around for somebody to pray with, because anything big is stressful, right? Or anything even small, yeah, I'm going to pray and ask for some kind of divine inspiration. Well, I'm looking around at the campaign staff, and I don't see anybody who looks real enthused about praying. So I grabbed Piper, and she's just, at the time, 7, just a little girl. I said, Piper, come over here. Let's go in the corner and pray for Mama. Pray before I go out there. Because 44 million people are watching me. Certainly, a lot of them are watching me, hoping I'll stumble, you know, literally, physically stumble as I'm walking out there. But anyway, I grab Piper and I say, Piper, just pray for me. I grab her hands and we're praying. I said, just ask God. Well, this is a competition, Piper, so ask God that I win. Ask God that he'll just speak right through me. And Piper says, God speaking through you? That'd be cheating.
Okay, so you... What a lot of people don't know about you, Governor Palin, is we talked a little bit backstage. You know, I'm a big sports guy. A lot of people don't know you won a state high school basketball championship in high school. How did those experiences help you later on, both lead to your success in the public and private sector?
Sports, especially basketball, I say all the time, everything I needed to know, I learned on the basketball court. That's where you learn about goals and self-discipline and responsibility and teamwork, all those things that you have to employ in order to succeed in your businesses, in your homes. It was all about being an underdog and overcoming a lot of obstacles to win. And it probably sounds petty and insignificant to people who aren't passionate about sports, and I know that he is because I read his bio, and he's a college ball player, which is impressive. But maybe it seems insignificant to others, but no, that foundation that you learn in sports can translate into a great success in all areas of life. So yeah, just overcoming some obstacles and doing what you gotta do in order to win. That's what I learned. My dad was a high school coach and track and cross country and some other sports. So that was, you know, my upbringing was healthy competition, and that's why I don't shy away from competition, I guess.
Thank you. talk a little bit about your eldest son, Track, has served in the military.
Track, yeah.
How has Track's military service impacted you and your family?
That was life-changing when my son, he enlisted when he was just 18. He's a hockey player, and he's ready to go off and play hockey, and got a couple of too many shoulder injuries, grinding into the boards, and he was kind of a goon out there, I tell him now. Well, he enlisted in the Army on September 11th of '08, and then on September 11th of '09, he went off to war. That first deployment, and at that time it was Iraq, then he went to Afghanistan. That first deployment is I think, when a parent goes from calling him son to calling him sir, because they change so much in such a positive way, being a part of serving something greater than self. So personally, very impacting, and it's been very good for him, obviously, and for the family. But then, in a greater sense, it's taught me that a grateful nation, we, having made promises to those who are willing to go fight for our freedom, our vets, we're a grateful nation. We'd better pay up. Here, they're coming home wounded, many of them. We have about 500,000 vets right now who suffer from some form of PTSD, and the VA is failing them because there's some corruption in the VA and in government itself. We, as a grateful nation, we should be the ones saying, okay, we're here to collect, government, and fulfill your promises to these, especially the vets who, man, they are our unsung heroes out there, having made such great sacrifices, and their families too. They should be first in line. I'm looking at the immigration issue, watching illegal aliens sneak across our border, cutting in line and receiving U.S. benefits. No, it's just, and our vets, in the meantime, they're waiting months, if not years, for treatment by government in the VA. No, our vets should be first in line, certainly before them.
And we appreciate that, Governor Palin. Veterans are tailor-made to work in this industry, and they are often the best workers due to their skill set and their work ethic and discipline, so thank you for that. I want to ask you an industry-related question. A lot of people refer to your home state as Alaska as God's country. I hope to get there someday. Very beautiful landscape, very unique geographic terrain. What are some of the challenges to building out wireless infrastructure in a state like Alaska that is so diverse?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy up there, the geography and the geology. But I was looking through this book, The Pursuit of Excellence, which is Nate's book. I love this gift. And then going through your slideshow on your website, looking at some of the pictures of the tower erection way, in these remote areas. And I'm looking at these going, man, this looks just like Alaska. You guys already know the conditions that our guys up north would be facing, and our gals, and what it takes to equip them to safely be able to maintain and build infrastructure. But, we're right there next to Russia, which you can see from Alaska, doggone it. I'll prove that someday. We're huge. We're 2.5 times the size of our little sister state, Texas. We're huge. We have 7 different, very, very diverse geographic and individual environmental. Here we have rainforests in southeast. We have permafrost up north, and that's one of the biggest challenges, is working with the permafrost. The ground has never thawed. It never will thaw. We have rich volcanic soils. We have earthquakes every single day up there. We have tremendous conditions. We have 60, 70 degrees below zero, and our guys are out there working on towers in this. And so that's why I watch, the news, and I see these I guess, well, I might as well call them wimps, even though I'm sure there's a reporter or two here that'll go crazy on this. But I watch these guys on the East Coast, especially the ones on the news anyway, broadcasting these great alerts that the rest of the country needs to see, that a big blizzard's coming and no, schools are all shut down and all these emergency measures are being taken. I'm watching it going, are you kidding me? They're making a big darn deal out of, oh my goodness. Gal can't wear her high heels walking down the sidewalk today because it's icy and it's snowy in New York City. Boo-hoo. It's tough up there, but you guys you work in tough conditions too.
I would be willing to bet another thing some of the audience may not know about you, Governor, is you started on the ground floor in terms of your public service career. You were a city council woman and a mayor, and one thing about the wireless infrastructure industry is a lot of the zoning and siting decisions are made at that local level. The industry's made strides through some FCC actions recently, but as I want you to put your local government hat on for us, and what are some of the things you can do as a local elected official to help spur that deployment and that infrastructure?
That local level of government serving there teaches you better than any other arena how it is that you should help govern if you intend to kind of move up the ladder. I think that's why every president should have served as a mayor, as a city council member, perhaps in their state legislature, because the most local level of government is the most responsive, the most responsible. You are held accountable. It's really important that your local officials, that you influence them to appoint the right people, the good people, the pro-private sector, pro-business, pro-growth people on, say, a planning commission, a zoning commission, because these are individuals on a local level that have so much power. They can make or break your business. And making sure that, yes, as a mayor and as a city manager, that was a really, really important task I always considered. I was also commissioner of oil and gas up in Alaska. At our peak, we were supplying 16% of the U.S. domestic supply of energy. And as commissioner, and I was also the ethics chair of our oil and gas commission, there was some corruption going on there. There was too many politicians in bed with big oil. And granted, I was married to an oil worker, and people said I was in bed with big oil. Well, no, because Todd was a production operator. He wasn't in management. He actually worked. So there was corruption, though, going on with politicians who were literally exchanging their votes for favors. And we cracked down on that. And before I got there, even some guys went to jail, and we ousted a lot of politicians who were playing a dangerous and unfair and unethical game. So having somebody who was willing to, and it was the Republican Party that I had to take on, my own party. That's why I don't have a whole lot of friends up there in the upper echelon of, the political establishment, because I've been willing to take on those who were not doing the will of the people. We're not actually serving with a servant's heart. So you make sure that your local officials, too, are in it for the right reason, that they're in it for a reason, not just a season, and they're not looking at politics as a business. The higher up you go, the more of that type you're going to find. So on the local level, man, we got to clean that up so those people can move up. You served in your state legislature,
yep.
House and Senate. You must have been 12 when you served. So you know, too, obviously, how important that, and you're held accountable, aren't you?
Yep.
I mean, you're walking down the grocery aisle, and people are going to stop you and say, the dog's barking, keeping me up all night, of my neighbors, get your animal control people over there. Okay, we'll work on that. And whatever the issue is, you live with it. You're serving your friends, your neighbors, your family. You can't get away with messing around in that local office. You shouldn't.
Okay, well, last question, Governor Palin. You hosted a reality hunting show or outdoor show on TLC. Everyone knows about Alaska and its beauty. What are some of your family's favorite outdoor traditions or hunting traditions?
Yeah, I grew up hunting and fishing and hiking, and that's why my parents had moved to Alaska. My dad was a science teacher, and in the public schools, and he said, yeah, I moved to Alaska for June, July, and August, because those were his off months where he could do as much hunting and fishing as he liked. Todd's family, Alaska Native family, Yupik Eskimo, they've commercial fished for generations. So being married into that family, having the commercial fishing side in Bristol Bay, the world's richest salmon spawning grounds. Yeah, in fact, my daughter Bristol is here today. She's sitting over there somewhere. Bristol's right there. And in fact, I think all our kids reflect what it is that we love about Alaska. My poor kids, people often ask them, were your parents hippies or something? Because we have Bristol for Bristol Bay. We have Willow, because Willow Creek is a really, really great sport fishing area. We have Piper. Todd's a pilot. He flies a 185 and he flies a Piper Super Cub. Track, that was sports, and then Trig. People say, is that like trigger after a gun? I'm saying, I know, my poor kids are going to have to live with that all their lives. I never realized their names were weird until I named them, and then people would say, are you kidding? Anyway, that's our life, you know. That's where we find God, is out in his beautiful creation, wildlife everywhere. I love to feed my kids organic food. I tell them, you just got to shoot it first. And I tell them that their meals, okay, they're going to be coming wrapped in fur, not cellophane. Well, that's just what we do up there.
Well, on behalf of Nate, Governor Palin, thank you so much for joining us. Let's give Governor Palin a round of applause.